Hey guys, it is Pack here from Horse Racing Reddit and Horse Racing Discord. One of the most common questions we get for newer players who are interested in getting involved more in handicapping, and they're getting more interested in, geez, I want to make a big score. I want to hit, one of these pick threes, a pick four, a pick five, a pick six. I want that sort of life-changing, life-altering score. Or I want to know how people do that. How do people structure those wagers? So a lot of these people come in with this idea of a caveman. I'm going to make this one big ticket. I'm going to go after a sequence, and I'm going to play the max of my budget all in one ticket. And they end up, inherently getting very disappointed. So one way of playing those types of sequences is what's referred to as ABC handicapping. What ABC handicapping is a way of organizing your picks and organizing your play structure in a way that both maximizes your value, gives you the most leverage. Leverage meaning the ability to play your best opinions the most aggressively, either through ticket structure or through wagering amounts. And it allows you a way where you can catch a 20 to 1 or a 30 to 1 price on a ticket and not have that ticket cost blow you out of the water, be massive. So a little bit of math on the background here. There's a general concept that at your average track, the favorite wins roughly 30% of the time. It can be more or less depending on field size or the track, but it's roughly 30% of the time. And the top three choices on the board, the first, second, and third favorites, win about 80% of the time. So if you're playing a small sequence, you're playing a horizontal, a daily double, a pick three, the favorite could win, 3 in a row, or the top three could win 3 in a row. But if you're playing a ticket where you're 3 deep in each one of those, and those, either the first, second, or third on the board win all 3 of those legs, more than likely your payout's going to be less than the amount the ticket cost. The other problem would be, what happens if a big price comes in there? Well, you could like 8 or 10 horses in a race, but if you use 8 or 10 in your average ticket, you're going to spend more on the ticket than the actual payout's going to be. So ABC handicapping is a way of using those opinions, leveraging your opinions, and getting the most value for those opinions. Now, a lot of people come into ABC and they say, oh geez, I'm a okay, they won't say this themselves. They think they're a good handicapper, but they're like, oh, I'm an okay handicapper. I want a system where I can just put my picks into it and it's going to spit out money. No system exists. If a system exists, trust me, nobody will be making it publicly available for you. The idea with ABCs is it gives you a way of creating structure. So if you're a good handicapper, you're a solid handicapper, you can find those outsized payouts without breaking the bank. So let's do, I'm going to use this is the August 18th mandatory payout day at Saratoga on their 20-cent jackpot pick 6. New wager this year. I absolutely hate the wager on every other day except for mandatory payout day. So I'm going to look at, and let's talk about the sequence here. It's the 5th through the 10th, and the wager or the actual winning combination ended up paying $12,500, which is a pretty nice payout for a 20-cent base bet wager. If you were to caveman, and that means that you were to go in, and by the way, the winning combination is in this ABC combination I have over here. If you were to do a caveman ticket, meaning a ticket where you buy every single horse you like in the sequence, you would have been 5 wide, by 4 wide, by 3 wide here, by 7 wide, by 4 wide, by 6 wide. That ticket, buying all those races, all those horses you would have liked, would have cost $3,225.60 for a 20-cent wager. Okay. And the problem is there are a number of 9 to 5 shots in here. There's also a number of 20 to 1 shots here. In that wagering structure, you're hoping that those 20 to 1 shots hit so that it pays out enough to cover the cost of the wager. You're not leveraging your opinions at all. You're valuing those 9 to 5 shots the same exact way you value a 20 to 1 shot. And just, this whole topic, there's literally books written on ABC handicapping. Steve Chris wrote a book that is called Exotic Wagering. where he talks exclusively about ABC wagering. It's a phenomenal book. It's out of print. Hop on Discord, ask around. There's a number of people that have a copy that they'll loan you, myself being one of them. But in this ABC structure, and I'll go over what side are involved in the ABC here, instead of this structure costing the caveman price of $32.25, I have the same amount of coverage using all of the same horses for $303. What that means in terms of payout: if you hit it with a caveman ticket, you would have won roughly 4 times the cost of the ticket. Okay. If you won it with an ABC structure ticket, you would have won it with it roughly 41 times the cost of the ticket, so tenfold increase. That means that on an ABC ticket, I can hit to make the same amount of money, or I should say, on the caveman ticket, you have to be much more efficient. You have to hit 10 times more often, have a score like that, to equal the same amount of money spent that I do doing ABCs. And I can tell you, I've never found somebody with caveman that could hit it that much higher of a strike rate to offset that amount of money. It's just almost impossible to do. So let me give you a little layout. I'm using DRF Formulator, which is my go-to. And I'm going to talk here and just give you a highlight. This is the Ticket Maker product. It's built right in here up on top. I don't know if you can see that there. You literally click it and this pops up. You tell it the race sequence on the race day you're interested in, what the ticket is. This is the pick 6. Starts in race 5, 20% base bet, and I threw a $500 budget in here to play around with. You're going to see the race number down the left side here. And when you first start, this is all dynamic. So you're going to see it out here, and you can simply move a horse wherever you want it to go. So I just made that A to C. They'll all start in the X category over here, way over to the right, and I'm going to bring it back to a B. So that's how I have the ticket structured. I'll explain in another video how I come up with my A's, B's, and my C's, because I think that's going to be its own separate video. But the idea is the A horses are the horses I like the best. B horses are horses I like a little bit, and C horses are the ones I like a tiny bit. You want to leverage your best opinion. So what this does is this takes and you arrange your horses into A, B, and C categories. And if you scroll down here, you'll notice a number of tickets. It comes up with 25 tickets. So what these tickets are made up of is every potential combination of every horse that's an A, all the horses that are A's with 1 B horse, every horse that's an A with 2 B horses, and every horse that's an A with 1 C horse. So it's a number of combinations. And I'm taking into account the fact that on a fairly high basis, I can come up with, even if I can only pick the winner 30 or 40%, if I can come up with a winner as an A horse 30% of the time, a sequence like this really isn't that hard to hit. And I have a ton of coverage without a ton of inherent expense. It's a much more efficient way of doing things, and I don't need a bunch of prices to come in that I happen to have all of to get that outsized score. So let's walk through here real quickly, and I'll show you what this ticket looked like and how I sort of came up with this basic structure, and then the inherent payout. So in this race, works were really good on the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6. Oh, by the way, this is a maiden 75, so maiden climbing 75. And I used a little bit of the 8. 8 didn't have quite as good a works, so, and I realize you can't see that. I'm sorry, I can't scroll down anymore. The 8 didn't have quite as good a works as the others, so 8 became a B. In the 6th race, and by the way, the Todd Pletcher horse with Luis Saez won up. The horse was like 3 or 4 to 1 on the morning line, had really good works. Ended up paying like $16. It was a pretty nice price to start things off with. Although I think most horizontal players use the horse, even though not as many win bettors went after the horse. In the 6th, there were 2 horses I saw on top. The Steve Asmussen horse Finite, and if you wanted to get really cute, the other one was Mrs. Danvers. Mrs. Danvers ended up winning the race. She was a horse that had a really bad start in her first race, ran a fairly decent fig even after a terrible beginning, and all of the trip handicappers were all over her. She went off the favorite and won. I also used a little bit of a couple other horses, but so far we're double A. So in the 7th race, when it comes up here, I had really liked two horses, made a lot of sense to me here. A different style. This two horse ended up, Jose Ortiz ended up getting named him out. This was a race that was taken off the turf, so Jose late picked up that mount. The favorite was this horse Still Cruise, the 3, who I just don't trust, and I can explain in another video why I don't trust horses like this. And the 3rd horse was the Works horse, which was the 6, Gorgeous Charlie. Gorgeous Charlie ended up winning, paid 6-1. I had this horse as an A. Horse was illogical to me, we were all A to this point. Now, I'll make a note in here. When I said before you have to be a decent handicapper, handicappers have opinions. I didn't like the favorite here, and so I discounted the favorite. This again becomes a situation. If you're just looking to drop horses into a thing and have it print money for you, this isn't going to happen. You still have to have opinions as a handicapper. I used Works, and I got away from a favorite here to come up with an A horse. In the 8th race, the two horses that I thought made the most sense. This was a mile turf race and a $50,000 allowance that was taken off the turf. The two horses that made the most sense to me were the two on the outside, the 12 and the 13, who were both also who are MTO horses. The winner ended up, though, actually being the 4 horse here, Jenna Miley, who was a horse they were trying to get on the turf. Horse had a lot of early speed. The other speed horse, who I think was the 2 in here, maybe not. Let me see if I can find the other speed horse here. Maybe it was the 10 horse was the other, or no, I'm sorry, I lied. It was the 12 horse here. The 12 horse was the other speed. 12 horse didn't break, had a terrible break. Jenna Miley got loose on the lead. Kendrick had a beautiful ride, did a real nice job with her. Not a horse I loved, but she ended up winning anyways. And so that was a B, so I ate my first B here. Now, I'll come out and own up to the fact, this is not the exact structure I played. I got a little too cute. I had initially made Jenna Miley a C horse, and this is the one that screwed me up because I'm going to eat a B in the final leg, and I did not actually end up hitting the sequence because I got a little bit too cute. So in the 9th race, the winner here of the Summer Colony was the 7 horse here. This was one of those ones where most people were getting single, most people were using a lot of blue prize. By far and away, she was the logical horse here. There was a chance for an upset, but she needed to not run her race to have somebody beat her, and she ran her race. She was beautifully well ridden by Jose, so that was a fairly simple race. So I knew going into the last leg I was 5 deep. Now, when we talk about ABC handicapping, we talk about the fact that it's a way to hit these outsized scores without having as much of an initial expense. I'll also note that it makes insurance a lot easier. What I mean by insurance is, I knew if you're going into this last leg and you know you're live to 5 horses, you can very easily win bet the horses you're not live to, and more than likely those are going to be very large prices, so it's easier to put a large win bet on them as a hedge. Or if you knew going in, I knew I was single B after the 8th leg, I could very easily have taken the 7 in a daily double with what I didn't have, and I could have wrapped some daily doubles in a way that I had a little bit of a protection hedge on. That'll be again another video. I'll discuss that. But I really liked the 5 in here. Take Charge Tina. I thought she was the most logical. And I got Dylan Davis here. Dylan Davis on Love and Love, the 7 horse. Ended up nailing this late. Was not a horse I loved, but again, this is the type of race, and I'll explain this in another video, where I want a little bit more coverage. I want more spread in these types of races. And so that was a double B. So let's do a little math here. We ended up getting a $12,500 payout. I think I already said that. And if you're somebody that was going to cave me on this and you cave me on a $3,225 ticket, okay, you got 4-1. You're going to, I made a bunch of money. What's the problem here? Well, the problem here is the fact that if the 5 had won, the favorite Take Charge Tina had won, you would have, instead of winning 12.5, you would have won, I think, about $1,500. That means that you would have spent twice as much on the ticket as the return would have been. So the ROI would have been horrendous. And this is one of the reasons that caveman handicapping is really a bad thing. Never caveman your tickets. Always work on some structure. I have a lot of, this is a very complicated ticket, but it's a way of kind of showing the idea of how do we create multiple layers, how do we create multiple tickets as a way of creating a better opportunities. And I'm going to probably do a few more videos on ABC handicapping. It's one of my pet peeves. I think it's something if people used more, they would burn less money at the track, they would have more fun, they would put themselves in positions to get some of those outsized gains, and they would enjoy the sport a lot more. So for now, I think that's sort of the why you know ABC handicap. I think in future videos I'm going to break this out. So throw something in the comments if you have additional questions about ABCs that you want answered. If you want me to focus a section on some different part, my plans right now are how to handicap with ABCs. So sort of what am I looking for that makes it an A versus a B or a B versus a C. And I also want to break out some other ways of ABC handicapping. There's ways to use wagering size in smaller wagers to get some massive scores. So we'll talk about that a little later on. But for now, hop on Discord and chat. Give me a little bit of feedback, and yeah, enjoy your days at the races.